So one thing I've wondered is how to get across the size of the White House in a drawing. Hello, this is Kurt Wallner. I've worked on this cross-section diagram of the White House for a long time. So now I move on to the inking portion of the program, and this is going to take perhaps even longer because I have to make sure that I'm inking it correctly. So in the inking of this project, I have discovered that a common theme is correcting mistakes. Things that I thought when I did the pencil and that I find out are not correct when I'm doing the inking. Since nobody knows anything about the attic and the third floor with any certainty, and all the photographs that I have of the third floor are all kind of iffy, there's not really a whole lot of corrections that needed to be made because I don't know what I'm basing it on. But in moving down to the West Sitting Hall, once I finished the window and the crown molding, I discovered something really awful, which is in the rest of the pencil of all of the crown moldings on the second floor, which are all supposed to be the same, they're not. They're at different heights in different places, and I got to do something about that. Just as I did on the third floor, I took a really hard look at what my pencil had of all of the crown moldings on the second floor. But this means that I'm probably going to have to redraw all of them properly on the render paper. Again, to have to redraw something like this big at this staging the game is not fun, but it's something that has to happen or else I'm going to be very, very messed up with my perspective later. And the only way that you can tell is by taking a look at it from oblique angles and make sure everything is in the right place. So after all the horizontal lines go in, we put in the upright acanthus leaves. And these are subject to Curto's law of how much space do I have to draw this in? I had a lot of space to draw these in East Sitting Room, Lincoln Bedroom drawing, but I have a lot less space now. So I try and formulate an attack plan for how I can get at least the notion of what these things look like in this little itty bitty tiny space that I have left for myself. And since they're vertically oriented, I do them all in the same process. So all of the rooms get the leaves at the same time, so at least there's a fighting chance of them being kind of more or less consistent. The final element of the crown molding is this zigzag pattern at the top. It's very difficult to put something like this in, so I get my most fine line pen. I also have to come up with a different pattern for the zigzags that are in shadow and the zigzags that are in highlights. So this is going to become important when we do the coloring. After fixing the crown molding throughout the second floor of the White House, new intel on the hallway leading past the service elevator to the family kitchen has forced me to rethink this whole area. And in the hue and the cry of all of these revisions, I have to repencil the double pocket doors and side tables and the lamps in front of it that are on the west side of the central hall. After inking in the doorway between the west bedroom and the east bedroom, I can see that I am facing a disaster. The door is not in the center of where I have it scheduled for the bookshelves to go. I can see that the bookshelves that I have yet to ink are about 1/2 inch too far over to the right. And to correct this, I detach some of the pencil from the render paper on the back and shove it over, producing sort of a goiter. Then comes the superstructure of the bookcase itself. First you do the uprights and the horizontals, And it was while doing the pediment where I lost my way some. I couldn't see the pencil properly and I got confused. Looking at the Historic American Building Survey photo, I saw what my mistake had been. Long story, but I keep going. I know that correcting things like this on the computer digitally is child's play, so I'm not worrying about it. So in moving down to the state floor, on the first floor on the east side, we begin with the state dining room. But I've detected an error in the ceiling. So what I can see that I've done is that I have extended this line from the bottom of the elevator car, of the service elevator, into this area here, which was a mistake. I think that I meant to have all of these walls just dangle in space over this chasm that I've torn out in order to show the pastry kitchen. At least that's what I think all of this means. After doing all the walls in the cross hall, I can start drawing in the entablature running across the top of the columns. I've been avoiding this for months because everything has to be properly spaced. It's anxiety making. Well, inking above one of the pilasters, that's when I noticed I had forgotten to ink in the two chandeliers that are in front of them. There they are on my pencil, but I had been so anxious to get onto the entablature that I'd forgotten about them, despite what Mr. Big might feel on the matter. But the chandeliers must get inked in first. The trick here is that the two chandeliers are the same and close together, so I must do what I can to keep them consistent. The entrance hall is all about symmetry, and so it's very challenging to get everything positioned correctly. So while inking in the framework around the entrance door, I honestly just screwed the whole thing up by turning the piece sideways and drawing all of the horizontal pieces toward me. I failed to get them at the same level, so you can see that the one that's on the right is too high. So after mortise cutting in a piece of paper to correct that problem, I drew it over again, and now it looks okay. Now when it comes to tackling the East Room, my good friend Leon Pascucci notified me that I had made the Steinway piano way too big in my pencil. After recalculating the size that the piano really ought to occupy in the drawing, I realized that I had made it way too big. As you can see, I repenciled it over, and then you can see the original pencil underneath is just way too big. So I have to fix that. Inking in the Steinway is both easy and difficult at the same time. It's easy because I like drawing pianos, and I've drawn this piano before. But what makes it difficult is that I have almost no room to do this in anymore. Maybe that's why I drew it so big to begin with. The next thing to go in are the two chandeliers that are hanging down from the ceiling. I thought that I could ink them in by just looking through the render paper to the original pencil, but it's just too complicated and I lost my way. The best way out of a problem like this is to draw a plan of where all of these little candlesticks are, and then project, what would this look like if I were standing at the nodal point about 400 feet away? Simple, right? But it does help me keep track of how many candles should be viewable in this semicircular thing, and where the ones on the upper level should be, and all that. I decided to color in the golden colors and some of the contours of the chandeliers so that I can convince myself that I've done this properly. It seems to help. But there is hope. Because I've drawn the ground floor center hallway already in my ground floor drawing, my pencil here is pretty accurate. I don't have to make any alterations to the grand stair or any of the wall marble tile patterns. I wasn't certain if these trelli in the palm room, on the walls of the palm room, are still there. I had heard that they'd been removed. But it seems that they're still there, so I went ahead. I didn't want to have to put all of this elaborate work in and have to take it out later. My hopes for the basement going swiftly were dashed when I came to draw the elevator and the spiral staircase. I wasn't really digging what I was looking at, so I had to re-dig into it and make sure that it was all copacetic. But inking all the rooms in the basement that are completely made up, well, that goes a lot faster. Although I am working from historical plans of the basement from the 1949 period, notice that there was a difference in levels between the basement of the residence and the basement underneath the east wing. So I decided to create a break room. And with that, we can begin the coloring of this beast, even though a lot of it is off-white. Anyway, if you are enjoying these videos, please subscribe to the channel if you would. Until next time, thank you for your attention. Bye-bye.